Today, thank you. Okay. Um, so as usual, Zoom glitchy. So hopefully it's not laggy or anything. But anyway, welcome back to the Life and Lessons of Me. I'm your host, Jordan. And today I want to talk about something that, I just recently realized that I might actually be able to do. Um, so if you've seen the movie Forrest Gump, you know who Lieutenant Dan is and that he got new legs. But, I was watching it yesterday because I saw Gary Sinise on the news talking about moving to Tennessee or something. I don't know. Kind of silly. But anyway, I decided I wanted to watch Forrest Gump again because it is a good movie. And I didn't realize how good of a movie it was until I watched it this most recent time. Um, but regardless, I think that, you know, Lieutenant Dan, the character, which made a profound impact on Gary, also impacted me the most yesterday. So as I was watching it, you know, Lieutenant Dan loses both of his legs in Vietnam, um, which isn't necessarily so much of a crazy story. But what really resonated with me this time was, how awful it must have been for Lieutenant Dan and actual real veterans who have gone into combat and become disabled. You know, it's really awful because these are people that are, peak physical condition, you know, because that's what the military does. They only take people who are in peak physical condition and then they become disabled. So, the part where he says, "What do I do now?" That really hit me. Uh, because what do you do? I'm somebody who's lived it most of my life. So I've been able to adjust and adapt how I live. And it probably is hard for somebody who's newly disabled to make that transition. As somebody who was never disabled before and now they are, it's got to be very difficult. And I feel like as somebody who has a lot of respect for the military and acknowledges the fact that they're laying down their lives and their bodies to give people the same freedoms that we have here. And I think I owe it to them a little bit because having the freedom to learn how to drive and do all this stuff that in any other country it'd be pretty difficult to do, um unless maybe Europe. Let's exclude Europe. But certain things that I have the opportunity to do, I kind of owe it to the men and women who fight for our freedom. So I think watching, Lieutenant Dan's story and how he, struggled with, his mental health afterward, like I can imagine, because I've been through things similar to that, how hard that is. And so as I was watching that, I kind of realized that, maybe I could help veterans who are disabled. I can possibly give them hope and possibly, you know, motivate them to, adapt and, not let it get the best of them. I mean, now with new technology and stuff like that, prosthetics and things like that. Yes, I don't know much about that because, my legs don't even work. Um, so I just feel like I am in a unique position. I am pretty patriotic and I feel like I would have actually joined the military if things were different. Um, so I feel like in a way, if I can't, physically serve, I can do something to help. I as veterans, usually they're used to this command structure where everybody has a purpose and everything is like what their duties are, they do it. and they do it well, and then they come home and the command structure is gone, and your purpose is a little bit shaky. You don't necessarily know where you fit because you've been in the military command structure, and it's tough. Probably it's a really tough adjustment. And yeah, no, I'm not an expert, but my experience kind of gives me credentials to help people, or at least give them hope that there is a way out and there is a way forward, rather. So I feel like that could be something that I would be really good at, and people would, you know, gain something from my life experience. And part of the point of this podcast is to give people perspective and, a new way of thinking. And I feel like this might be a platform where I can, you know, at least start to get my message out there. And I think I have done that in the last couple of years of doing this. Um, and yeah, I think as somebody who has been trying to find their purpose, and I know what my purpose is to share my message, but I have to define, the groups that I want to share my message with. And, that would be people with Duchenne and Becker's like me, and that could be veterans and even normal people. I think when trying to run a business successfully, like I guess this would be a business, you have to kind of define, your target audience, and who you think would, like your content and, feed into it and gain something from it. So I think I know that I can do this and I can make an impact and help veterans who are, underappreciated and sometimes not acknowledged to the extent that they deserve. And I feel like if I can, help them out, that would benefit me as well. I mean, it's not that I would do it to benefit myself, but it would mean a lot to me to know that, my message is impacting people and helping people. And I think that I have a unique ability to be able to relate to some of the things that, newly disabled veterans are going through. And I think that, as a 20-year-old kid, it's hard for me to see that I could be credible or whatever. But every time I speak to an audience of any type, like it's usually small and like in a group on Zoom or something. But, I feel like every time that I do talk, people, you know, tell me how great I am, and that I'm doing good and that I should keep up the good work and keep up the good fight. And, that's really encouraging that I can help and benefit the people with my voice and with my story. And, that's what I really want to be doing. And I know before I said lobbying could be a thing that I would be interested in. And I think it still is, but I don't know if that should be my career. Because I don't want to live in Washington, to be honest. Real estate be expensive. So as an adult, I feel like it's important to realize, like, sometimes you have to consider, if your job would allow you to live anywhere, or if you would have to live in a certain area that you don't want to. So that's something I've been thinking about. And, back to the Lieutenant Dan thing, his story is one of major struggles. And, he thought his purpose was to die on the battlefield. And Forrest saved him and gave him a second chance. So um, that's something that, I think I might be able to do is help people see a second chance, or see a way forward, like I said before. So I have to, really actually work at this, and probably contact VA hospitals and things like that, and potentially veterans organizations. That's what I want to be doing. Um, there might be a reason why I'm so into the military and I have so much respect for it. Maybe that is why I'm being called to do this now. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, it was all to lead me to this point where I'm like, you know what? Veterans deserve help, and they deserve my help. And I might be able to benefit them, so why not? I willing to volunteer to, get my message out there, promote hope and things like that. And I think that I can do this. And I think that, you know, this is something that I would be passionate about, and, I can make into a career. And it's not about the money, no way. But um, yeah, I would absolutely for free talk to disabled veterans and, give some sort of speech or whatever. Um, Obviously, I need to refine my speaking skills a little bit because I say way too much, but that is because I kind of wing these and I just think of words as I go. So yeah, I do have the ability to, be articulate, and I think that's helped me be able to get my message across to people. I try to be non-inflammatory and things like that. So I don't want to offend anybody. And yes, I can't help with PTSD because I don't know anything about that, but I do know that I have been struggling with, Duchenne muscular dystrophy forever. And I now can turn that into something beneficial to other people, something that's made my life harder, can make other people see that regardless of your circumstances, regardless of how hard it is, you never give up. Okay. You just never do. Right. And it's hard for somebody who, again, like peak physical condition to be newly disabled. Like, I mean, granted, it takes time to transition, and some people just, they can't do it and they need help. So I feel like, I could be helpful, and I want to be helpful, and I want to, you know, serve my country in some way. I do love living here. It is nice here, regardless of whatever problems this country has. We owe it to people who serve in the military and sacrifice their bodies and lives. We owe them something, and people just ignore it and don't see it and take it for granted. You know, um, like what's happening in Ukraine right now. Totally normal lives happening, and then Russia goes, you know what? We're gonna do something, and you're not gonna like it. So, like, if you lived in Ukraine right now, all of the patriotism and all of the fight that they have, we as America fought, right? We fought for our freedoms and for everything that we have. You know, that was 200 years ago, but we still fought and we still fight to give other people the same freedoms that we take for granted. How messed up is that? We are taking our freedom for granted, and people like on the other side of the world, we're trying to give them the same rights that we have here. And I think that's a noble cause. I mean, whatever you think about the military, they're still people, and they deserve help and they deserve recognition for their sacrifice. So, you know, like I said, as somebody who has a lot of respect for the military, I think I owe it to them to use what I've experienced to help them. And, this might not be an easy task, but I will figure it out. And the motivation that I'm feeling right now to do this is something I haven't felt in a while. So I feel like I'm confident that, this could be a good move, and I want to help. I do want to help people. I want to share my message. That's my purpose, and maybe I'm lucky that I'm a 20-year-old and I figured that out, because some people just, haven't figured it out, and that's not your fault. Um, the last couple years I've been extremely isolated, and I've been able to look inward and, help myself to become somebody who people respect, and people look up to and can gain some hope from. So, everything I've been talking about, like direction and you know, good mood yesterday or the last episode. Um, I think everything is starting to fall into place in my life, and something I've been thinking about a lot is timing. Like, the timing of me watching the news at 9 o'clock and seeing Gary Sinise on the news and talking about Forrest Gump and how he, took that role to heart and started a organization to help veterans, and watching him play that character and how emotional it was, in that in the hospital in the movie. What does he do now? It's something that a lot of people are probably struggling with. Like, how do you move forward from that? How do you go from feeling like your purpose is to be in the military and like your destiny is to die in battle? How do you transition from that to having to adapt and find a new purpose? And something that I've been thinking about is the timing of everything. Like, all of these things that are happening in my life, my license, my car happening, uh possibly getting a second job, everything seems like it's going in the right direction, and that is nice. This is a nice feeling. So, you know, I'm not trying to say that, I figured everything out, because I definitely haven't, but I'm getting there, and it feels good to have things going in the right direction. So, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I hope that, maybe this finds somebody who needs help, and maybe this episode helps me get connections and things like that. So, yeah, if you have any connections to a VA hospital or know any disabled veterans that I could, potentially talk to, or if you have any connections to other veterans organizations that I can, pitch this idea to and volunteer my services to, that'd be great, because this is something that I really want to do. And, it's the first step. I just decided this yesterday, but, I feel like it's a good decision. It makes sense to me. And yeah, maybe I can help some people along the way. So that's going to do it for this episode. And I will catch you on the next one.